Well, former independent MP Tony Windsor, who's now considering a return to federal politics, says he doesn't think the border force announcement was a mistake, but rather an attempt by the government, he says, to engender fear in the community for political advantage.
If anybody had any illusions as to this agenda of Abbott's at the moment in relation to creating fear in the domestic community, I think this exercise, this farcical exercise in Melbourne really lays it out in front of most people.
Do you think that that's what's at the heart of it? A government decision to try to make the public more fearful?
I've got no doubt that the strategy here and the giveaway context in relation to this was only a few weeks ago when the government was calling upon the security people to have something ready every week for them. And now we see this week's episode on top of possible attempts to go to war in Syria, this farcical situation developing in Melbourne where citizens that have done nothing wrong are going to be seen, interrupted in the streets by these people in these magical mystery tour uniforms that they're parading around in. It is to create fear in the eyes of the community. It is to create a circumstance similar to John Howard's Tampa circumstance where people suddenly rush to one side of the political debate. It is an absolute disgrace what is going on a number of levels. But this whole border protection, entering a civil war in Syria, the border force in Melbourne, it's all part of a very sad agenda, in my view, to actually frighten people. And I've got no doubt that some of these people in Abbott's government hope that something goes wrong domestically, that they can taunt a Muslim into doing something so that they can say that we're the only ones that can protect you, the Labor Party are too weak to protect you, vote for us. Well, I think that's an extraordinary agenda to go to an election on.
Now, the Minister, Peter Dutton, has been very quiet. What do you make of that?
Well, he's the Minister. Maybe Tony Abbott's doing more captain's picks in relation to this, so he might be circumventing Peter Dutton's ministerial portfolio. But I can understand why Peter Dutton wouldn't want to stand in front of this. There is no way you could defend doing this in a country like ours.
Well, given that the Immigration Minister in the past has said that he's got to okay everything, do you think it's possible that this project could have been signed off without his approval?
Well, I think in this current government anything's possible. I've just watched this unfolding with a great degree of interest. The worst thing, and probably one of the best tools that bad governments can use, but the worst thing in terms of governance they can use is to create fear within their own community. And we've had this constant barrage of fearful innuendo, fearful messages, press releases, and this is just another one on top of this barrage of fear-producing rhetoric that's been coming out of Tony Abbott, Peter Dutton and others. I just can't believe that a Liberal Party could actually be standing back and allowing these sorts of activities to happen in one of our major cities. And these are the people that are going to make a decision probably next week to take our forces into a civil war when they don't know one baddie from another baddie. And I just can't understand the logic of any of this anymore. I just hope people start to wake up and do as Melbourne did, put pressure on this government to stop this stupidity, stop trying to frighten people, get on with governance and get away from the nonsense.
Former independent MP Tony Windsor.